household good industry. And I'd like to introduce Richard Clarke, who actually is a senior vice president with ACE Relocation Atlas Van Lines. There had been multiple questions that said, similar to, gee, we've learned from either our RMC or our direct carriers that there are a lot of things being done differently in the home or that are required. And in doing that, we are wondering, what does that mean for us from an overall cost projection standpoint? How is it going to impact us? So if we may introduce Richard Clarke. Richard, thank you for joining us today from actually California at the headquarters of ACE Relocation Atlas. First question really that I'd like to ask, you've had to take a lot of steps, even in the technology aspect of performing business today. Can you shed some light on that?
Beverly, thank you. It's a privilege to be involved. Good morning, everybody. For sure, yeah, we had to definitely adapt and overcome. Okay, looks like I'm back.
Yeah, no, that's okay. And I was just sharing with everyone that, you know, part of the steps that you take as a carrier are looking out not only for their employees, their families, and those in the home, but also your own employees, that you have to kind of keep that all in perspective. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was talking to myself for a little bit there, but my comments were toward our technology. And to answer your question, one of the things that we adopted in 2017 actually was the virtual survey process, which we've, as a company, ACE Relocation Systems, we've perfected that. And that was very timely in the COVID event. We were able to do and still do in excess of 12,000 virtual surveys a year. So we've been able to kick that into gear, and that's obviously saved having to go into people's homes and respective of their the sovereign of their home, if you like, and to be able to perform that function very efficiently and accurately virtually. The other thing that we've done relative to cost, or exposed relative to cost, obviously early on in the process, the PPE expense was a real expense to us. We didn't pass that along. It was part of doing business. It was not easy to get. It was expensive at the beginning. It's become more available. So that's just part of business now. Relative to cost and impact on cost, the things that we've seen, the service delivery has taken a little bit longer because the crews have to take breaks, obviously, especially in Arizona and Houston, where it's hot and humid and they're wearing PPE. They've got to take, breaks, and we've had instances where we've had to have crews in the house that stay in the house. So we've had to increase labor in some instances. Again, these costs have not been passed on as a service delivery cost that we've pretty well borne. Costs that have been passed on, we've had instances not to commingle shipments, for example. Somebody wants their shipment on the truck exclusively, not with anybody else's household goods. So those have been exceptions that have been approved on a case-by-case basis. That has been passed on to the client. But for the most part, we've taken the costs of doing business and delivering the services that we provide without really skipping a beat. The dynamic has changed a little bit, and the corporate relocation is down somewhat. But the private transferee business we're seeing is up because people are moving to the beach. They're moving to where they want to work rather than where they have to work. And I'm not sure if that's an impulse thing or if it's just a permanent thing. But either way, we are enjoying that. Having said that, my hat goes off to the owner-operators, which are the service delivery of our business, and what they've had to deal with throughout this pandemic so far, from not having anywhere to eat or restrooms available, and being resourceful and creative to be able to keep running and keep doing what they do and going into people's homes and wearing the PPE, which is not comfortable, as you can imagine, toting furniture. They have just stepped up, and they've stepped up to the challenge in a big way, and they are an essential workforce. We've had truck drivers in truck stops, where people have come up, especially when the toilet paper was tough to find, and thank them for what they do and that they keep going. And I think that continues today. And again, my hat goes off as a senior management member to the people that are out there making this happen, and they've done it. and they've made us proud and continue to do that. So as to whether costs are going to go up in the future, hard to say. Nobody knows. That crystal ball is not very clear yet. But definitely 2021, we're looking forward to some level of normalcy and continued volumes and being of service to everybody that we're accustomed to servicing.
Well, Richard, thank you. That was, I think, very enlightening to some of us, even though some people are in mobility. The reality is they don't always hear it firsthand from their own employees of what's being experienced. And overall, it certainly sounds like carriers themselves have been absorbing a lot of all of the additional costs that have gone into this. And at the same time, when you mention the people like the owner operators and the pack crews that have to go in the home and that are out there and they're making this happen day to day to day, we forget that, yes, those owner operators, we consider them truck drivers and very strong individuals, but they're also psychologists because they're also dealing with that family. And we appreciate everyone that's involved in that critical